Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda and welcome to a special episode of Ignition Time. I'm about to share a few things with you that you probably already know, that you've probably already seen, but for me this is essentially a soap opera. So I decided to build a collage, if you will, of all of the statements that have come out from various administration officials. Everyone from Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker, to Lindsey Graham, the Senator from South Carolina, to Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, to Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, to President Trump, to the US Labor Secretary Eugene Scalia, the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, and also the Secretary of the Treasury Steven Mnuchin. I just think it's really funny, and I think at this point, I know none of us are laughing, but I want to try and make some people smile with this particular video, and I want to highlight the different statements that have come out from the administration. And when I saw these, when I saw the chronology of all of these statements, some of these statements go back to May and some of these statements are as recent as a couple of days ago. In some cases, I was just puzzled. I was like, what are you talking about? Which world are you living in? And other times I was scratching my head, and sometimes I just had to start laughing. I didn't know what else to do. Before I start with the video, if you learn something new and if this makes you smile, please consider clicking the like button. Please also subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet, and please enable notifications so you get instant updates like this. I'll give you instant news, I'll give you important, I'll give you balanced news, and at times like this I'm going to try and make you smile. So I have some props here with me. So I've got an iPhone, and this is to all Democrats, all Republicans. I've got a lot of extra devices in my house. I actually have a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old. So this is my spare iPhone. This is an iPad. This is an iPad that I have lying around. This is an iPad mini that I have lying around. And this is what is this? Oh, it's an iPad Pro. It's the big one. I have all of these devices lying around because I'm happy to give you one so that you guys can use these things to communicate with each other. So to the Democrats and the Republicans, this is an iPhone. When you switch this on, and this was designed in the United States of America, when you switch this on, you press a few buttons and you can actually talk to each other. Can you believe that? You can actually talk to each other. This is an iPad, and if this is too big to carry around, here's an iPad mini. Now, by the way, why do I have these devices? I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and my kids don't come with a mute button, so my wife and I just have these devices. Each of my kids has a device because it's our way of getting them to just shut up. All right, so I guess that makes us bad parents, but never mind. So I can send you guys, the Democrats and the Republicans, these devices so you can call each other, you can FaceTime each other, you can actually communicate face to face, or you can send each other an email. If you don't know what an email is, Democrats and Republicans, look it up. An email is pretty simple to send. Okay, I'll stop. I'll get to the video. I know you get the message. So let's get into specific comments, and I'll start with comments from Nancy Pelosi back in May. And this is what she said back in May about the HEROES Act, which was a pretty ambitious proposal from the Democrats, but it didn't go anywhere as far as the Republicans are concerned. Let's listen now to Nancy Pelosi.
House Democrats are introducing the HEROES Act, named for our heroes, whose provisions are largely based on the 4 previous bipartisan bills we have passed. The HEROES Act focuses on 3 pillars: opening our economy safely and soon, honoring our heroes, and then putting much needed money into the pockets of the American people. We can all agree that we must open our economy as quickly as we can, but we must do so based on science and data. The key to opening the door is testing, tracing, treatment, and social distancing.
Nancy, it sounds like Lindsey Graham wasn't very impressed with what you had to offer. And again, this is for you, Nancy. If you want it, reach out to me. I'll just ship this to you. I'll FedEx it to you. I'll have my secretary send it to you. So you can do a FaceTime call with Lindsey, or you can send him an email and sort this out. Let's hear what Lindsey had to say.
In terms of the House Phase 4 bill, it's got so much unrelated to the coronavirus. It's dead on arrival here in terms of a viable idea. The amount of money and the way you spend the money and the unrelated provisions in the bill make it impossible for it to get out of the Senate.
Back in May, it sounded like the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell also wasn't too impressed with the HEROES Act, and this is what he said back in May.
This is not a time for aspirational legislation. This is a time for practical response to the coronavirus pandemic. And so we're going to insist on doing narrowly targeted legislation if and when we do legislate again, and we may well, that addresses the problems, the needs, and not the aspirations of the Democratic majority in the House.
Now, it's quite obvious that Chuck, the Senate Minority Leader, and Mitch, the Senate Majority Leader, don't talk to each other. Chuck, Mitch, you can have this. Use it to call each other, get some stuff done. People are waiting. Let's hear what Chuck Schumer had to say about this whole situation back in May.
For Leader McConnell to finally realize the devastation that so many Americans are experiencing. How many unemployed Americans would it take for Leader McConnell to say he feels urgency and a need to act? How many hungry people would it take? So the bottom line is very simple. We need to act in a big and bold way. The House has started the ball rolling. The Republicans and the President ought to understand that and help us move in a big, bold way, not stand in the way.
So while Nancy, Lindsay, Mitch, and Chuck are fighting it out, by the way, that sounds pretty funny. It sounds like they're in some sort of a funny movie, a comedic movie, if you will. While they're fighting it out, let's listen to what the money guys had to say. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, and we'll also listen to the U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. Let's start by listening to the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell about how he felt this crisis had to be handled.
The result could be an extended period of low productivity growth and stagnant incomes. We ought to do what we can to avoid these outcomes, and that may require additional policy measures. At the Fed, we will continue to use our tools to their fullest until the crisis has passed and the economic recovery is well underway.
And when Steven Mnuchin, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, the guy who's responsible for making sure the funds that are appropriated by Congress and generated by the Federal Reserve are allocated, are distributed, are spent, he's the guy who makes those decisions. Let's hear what he had to say about this whole situation.
We are targeting to do something before that expires. When we did the enhanced unemployment insurance, we knew there was a fundamental problem with it. And the issue was the different states, we were doing this through different states' unemployment computers. Many of these are 40, 50-year-old computers. We couldn't have the states adjust their computers to calculate a percentage of people's income and get the money out right away. The only way we could get the money out right away was to create a fixed dollar amount per check. Now, when we did that, we knew the advantage was speed. The disadvantage is we knew that certain parts of the economy in certain states, people would get more money on unemployment than they would in their job. Given we were shutting down the economy, that wasn't as big of a problem. Now that we are reopening the economy, that is an issue. So whatever we do with unemployment, we will fix that. And my guess is, again, it's something, we will have something for people who are unemployed. We will also have incentives to get people back to work.
And now let's move on to the president. On the 22nd of June, the president was interviewed and he said the next stimulus package will be very generous. Let's listen to exactly what the president said.
I have a lot of viewers in Florida, Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, who are still struggling economically, sir. They spent all of that first stimulus check. Are you going to get them a second stimulus check?
Yeah, we are. Look, we had this.
When are you going to get it?
We had this going better than anybody's ever seen before. We had the best job numbers, the best economics, the best economy we've ever had. And then we had the virus come in from China, and now we're rebuilding it again. We will be doing another stimulus package. It'll be very good. It'll be very generous. And
How much? How much? People want to know.
You'll find out about it. You'll find out.
When are you going to do it? When are you going to announce it?
I think over the next, I think it's going to be bipartisan. I think it's going to be over the next couple of weeks probably.
And the president talked about this again on the 1st of July. When he was asked about the next stimulus package, he said that he supported larger numbers than the Democrats. And he did talk about an incentive to go back to work, which has been discussed by other Republican senators, including Senator Rob Portman as well. Let's listen to the president talking about this on the 1st of July.
Mr. President, thank you for talking to Fox Business. We appreciate it. A lot to get to. Let me start with phase 4 and what might potentially come later this month. Another round of direct payments for individuals. Do you support that at this time?
I do. I support it, but it has to be done properly. And I support actually larger numbers than the Democrats, but it's got to be done properly. We had something where it gave you a disincentive to work last time. And it was still money going to people and helping people, so I was all for that. But we want to create a very great incentive to work. So we're working on that, and I'm sure we'll all come together.
You want the direct payments larger or the uninsurance benefits
I want
larger?
the money getting to people to be larger so they can spend it. I want the money to get there quickly and in a non-complicated fashion. And they wanted to make it too complicated. Also, it was an incentive not to go to work. You'd make more money if you don't go to work. That's not what the country's all about. And people didn't want that. They wanted to go to work, but it didn't make sense because they make more money if they didn't. And we had some of that, and so we don't want to have that. We want to have people get out, and we want to create a tremendous incentive for people to want to go back to work.
On that and the uninsurance benefits, Mitch McConnell yesterday signaled his support for an extension, the $600 figure. Do you agree with that number? Do you think it should be less?
We're getting together. We're going to meet tonight, and we're going to make a determination, but it's going to be a good number, a substantial number. People are going to be very happy.
And now this is the head scratcher. The U.S. Labor Secretary Eugene Scalia was interviewed on Fox News, He was specifically asked if there would be some sort of deal between the Democrats and the Republicans where the Democrats would get extended unemployment benefits and the Republicans would get a payroll tax cut. Now, his response was quite surprising. I'll let you watch it for yourself. And I just have to tell Mr. Scalia, I'm not sure exactly what world you live in. He talked about some individuals in some states getting $75,000 a year on unemployment. I don't think that if there's a discrepancy in some states that the whole country, individuals across the country should be penalized. He clearly was not in favor of the extension of the $600 a week unemployment booster. Let's listen to the U.S. Labor Secretary Eugene Scalia.
Speaking of that, the president has also been clear about wanting the payroll tax cut. There's been resistance to that on Capitol Hill, with some Republican senators being pretty blunt and saying they are not in favor. Are you prepared to give Democrats an unemployment insurance extension to get the payroll tax cut?
Well, I think the payroll tax cut could be an important part of, among other things, bringing Americans back to work and fueling job growth in the country. It was the tax cuts, as I mentioned, the president put in place that had a much stronger economy back in February than people were projecting. And I think that we should listen to the president's views on this as we move forward. In terms of the unemployment benefit, it was a really important thing to do as we were shutting our economy down. Americans across the country were basically being told, and we needed to take measures, but they were basically being told, you can't go to work right now. And so we needed that substantial unemployment benefit. But, you know, there's some states where you can get on an annual basis $75,000 a year right now on unemployment. And I think as we reopen the economy, I don't know that we need a benefit like that. During the so-called Great Recession 10, 12 years ago, when we had a downturn, the added federal unemployment benefit was $25 a week, and what we did in the CARES Act was $600 a week. So I think this is something we'll get a look at, but I don't think we need that $600 benefit going forward.
And finally, most recently on the 6th of July, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell shared his thoughts. He specifically talked about individuals who made less than $40,000 a year who had been the most severely impacted. And he did talk about certain industries, and I've talked about this as well. Industries like hotels, travel, entertainment, hospitality. Those are the individuals who've been impacted the most. So let's listen to the words of the Senate Majority Leader. These are recent comments.
Senator, do you anticipate the next rescue package having any individual funding going to people like the previous $1,200 and to families? Will there be something like that?
Could well. I think the people who've been hit the hardest are people who make about $40,000 a year or less. Many of them worse in the hospitality industry. The hospitality industry, as all of you know, just got rim-racked. Hotels, restaurants. And so that could well be a part of it.
So there you have it, everybody. I hope that was interesting. I just thought that it was fun to put it all together, and for me it's kind of like a soap opera. So to everybody who was in this video, here's a phone. Please pick up the phone, call each other, text each other if that's something that you prefer. Better yet, do a FaceTime call with each other, and if you are in a good mood, get together, talk, work it out, maintain that social distance, and just come to some sort of a conclusion so we can end this soap opera and get a solution for the American people. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new. I hope I brought a smile to your face. If I did, please click the like button below. Please also subscribe and also enable notifications. When you do, you'll get instant updates from me from the Ignition Time channel, because my goal with Ignition Time is to give you news to help you move forward financially and hopefully in the process bring a smile to your day during these unusual and during these dark times. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. I'll see you soon. Bye.